Hello, my friends, and welcome to another stream of Adobe Live. I'm your host, Kieran Lewis, a freelance graphic designer based in London. And on today's stream, we have someone who is no stranger to the Adobe Live space. She needs no introduction, but I want to give her one anyway, because she needs one, because she's awesome. We have designer, speaker, author from Studio Printmysoul, Kladi Vergine. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hello, hi Karen. So happy to be here with you today at Adobe Live. As you mentioned, I think in your LinkedIn post is literally marking 2 years when we're in reverse role.
Yeah.
I was hosting you, so that's so awesome. I'm so excited
Yeah.
to be here with you and the wonderful community at Adobe Live. So hi everybody.
Yeah. It's nuts how like the roles have reversed, but we're still much in that sort of space of just exploring design work now and seeing what we can do, which is awesome. I can see our friends are in the chat. If you're on YouTube, Behance, massive welcome as always. I can see we've got Paco, Sam, Olivia. Where did I come from? Oliver, I should say. So welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, any comments you want to give Clady while she's in the flow of her design stream, please get that in the chat, and I will do my best to share that with her. And on a final note, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us at Adobe Live on Instagram for latest streams, updates, and so much creative goodness. So, Clady, it is showtime. Would you like to introduce yourself a bit and also an insight into what we're working on for today's stream?
Absolutely. So today's stream is all about creating your digital portfolio online. We will be using InDesign, and we would go ahead and uncovering all these wonderful hidden features that not many of you are aware of. So if you never use it, if you don't know how to add buttons, interactive links, and rollover effects inside InDesign, you're in the right place, because we're going to dive in and discover all these brand new interactive panels and features in order to apply to your portfolio, because having a portfolio is always so important. I know that everybody now gets found out on Instagram and gets so many different requests online, but having a portfolio, trust me, it will always come to use, either because during an interview they might ask you to show portfolio, or because you might have the need yourself at some point to show your proof of works and just have an organized set of example. And why not doing it just with a simple link that you can share anytime, anywhere. And of course, Adobe is also going to host it. So zero space on your server and your machine, fresh light and ready to be shared anywhere. Have you ever tried the interactive feature yourself, Karen?
Do you know what it is? I'm a bit of perfectionist, which I think that most designers are, right? So you have an idea and it just keeps on forever changing. That procrastination sometimes seeps in. But no, I want to see how you kind of delve into it and teach us some little tricks and tips. That'd be awesome
Well,
to see.
you brought up another fantastic little topic that we're going to be diving in
Mm,
today. So the beauty of this link, and you see the example here, that's why I'm not going too much in depth of what I do, because I'm going to use my own examples for the portfolio. So we're going to see my work as we carry through. But the
nice.
beauty of this link is that you will be able to update it right away as you go. So if you make any mistake, I'm dyslexic, I do so many typos and misspell. You can
Mm,
very, very quickly go ahead and edit these mistakes right away in the link and update the link, and nobody's going to know. So you're just going to be
nice.
able to update the same link as many times as you want. So even if you want to refresh your portfolio, or maybe you're adding a new project, all you have to do is to
Mm,
update the same link, and I'll show you how to do that, which is pretty exciting. As per my usual,
nice.
I spilled some water and I'm still drying in order to move my keyboard. That's a signature for me, but I think I'm ready to go and start to show you some of the, so this is
Nice.
actually the result. I think it's quite exciting to see the final result. This is my cover,
Mm,
just feature a very, I believe, interesting, fun picture that I took in San Jose when I was visiting the Photoshop floor at Adobe. And here
nice.
are some of the features. So these buttons are buttons for the navigation. So our portfolio is going to have a navigation, and then we're going to have rollover. Look at that. So by simply hovering
Mm,
on the title of the projects, you will be able to have a quick overview of the project itself. And then you also have other internal link that will bring you into the project. And then we have a carousel. So you can actually associate any graphic image and transform into a button to then go ahead and navigating the different images. But moreover, you can add a link, for example, to your Instagram, or even more to your direct email. So if you want people to reach out, they'll be able to email you right away. Oops.
nice.
And even your website if you do have one. And if you don't have one, you can use just your logo or whatever you want, just to go back to the home page. And of
Mm,
course, besides the project, we have the about and the features. And before we get started to dive into InDesign, that's another thing that I wanted to really point it out. Try to keep it as simple as possible. As you can see here in my navigation, I only have 3 different projects, and I think that is pretty much all you need for your portfolio, just to see your project, a little bit more about you, and then if you do have any features to show off, that is the place. And I mean, this will substitute a website. So maybe if you're just starting and you do not have the funds and the time to invest in a website, this is a fantastic option that I think it will have everything that you need in a website as well, as a designer. What do you think, Karen?
It's interesting. Like, I think, do you ever find, like, with websites, we're so quick to kind of get everything on there, almost throw the kitchen sink, as it were, and then it's almost like just trying to take a step back and just simplifying it, right? The fact that you've got 3 tabs, you don't really need anything more than that. And then maybe as you kind of go into, the year, you might think, oh, maybe some more might be needed or less, but at least you start off quite simple and then build your way from that. Do you know what, one thing I've noticed on your portfolio, we're seeing that it's the tiny things, like the curved edges, the way the imagery sits in there. It's so tiny, but my eyes straight away saw the edges and the curves. So I stuck out for me.
And it's all consistent throughout, and that's something that we're going to be talking about today as well. And of course, if you're new to InDesign, we're going to be covering the basics. So we're going to start with a document setup, workspace setup, and in fact, I'm going to jump right into InDesign in just a second. If you do want to have a portfolio review, and if you're working along, I got a starter file ready that you can follow along with, and you can also head on my website. Speaking of website, of course, I've done this job for a while, so my website is a little bit more filled of all sorts of things. And
Nice.
what I've done here is you can watch this replay right away, so you can see the same banner for this website, but you can also request a portfolio review. So if you are doing a portfolio here with me, feel free to send me an email through my website, and we'll do my best to select a few of you and then take it further with a portfolio review.
Nice.
And of course, there is more follow along with more courses on my website and so on. So feel free to go and check it out. But let's go ahead and open InDesign. It's time to jump right in and start from the beginning. Of course, at any time, please ask any question. Karen, if you have any addition, if you think that maybe we can add something else, please feel free to explore. I have my backup document here simply because there is a lot of text that goes on in this portfolio that I'm not going to start writing today. And also, it's a bit of that, like a cooking show. If we do need to show something and maybe we don't have the time, I know that I have this backup ready to go that will help us out with our images.
Nice.
So
just a quick one, actually. I was going to say on the chat, we've got Mandy, who mentioned that she doesn't know much about InDesign, but she's interested. So again, like Kladi was saying, like, you're in the right place to kind of learn about InDesign and portfolio design. So any questions, Mandy, you might have, or anyone for that matter, more so about Kladi going through her flow in InDesign, please do ask, because you're in the right place. So welcome. Sorry just to stop you there, Kladi.
No, absolutely. And also, let's ask, like, how many beginners and how many intermediate. Let us know in the chat if you're a beginner, if you consider yourself a beginner or an intermediate. So I also know how to slow down or speed up. And, of course, I'm going to try to do everything in small bits so everybody can digest it quickly. And I'm going to try to focus on the basics as much as possible while moving forward into the exciting interactive features. To start, homepage, welcome homepage from InDesign. First thing to do is either to use one of these amazing presets available, or you can use the new file blue button, or use the Control and Command and shortcut to open the new document window here. And you will be able to access these amazing top tab. These top tab are pretty exciting because they will allow you through InDesign to have a document set up and ready successfully for your format and for your output. In fact, if you're looking to design or produce a document for print, all you have to do is to click on the Print Intent tab, and you will see that the preset details will adapt to a print production. So you really want to make sure that you start setting up your document for success by creating a document that will have the settings ready for the final output. That saves you a lot of time, and also will give you the chance to access some free templates from Adobe Stock that will help you jumpstart your project. So if you do have, maybe if you're looking for some inspiration, you can automatically select any of these projects and then use them basically as a test to play around with InDesign. Then, of course, in this case, we're looking to create a web portfolio. Therefore, our option is going to be web. And once I click on the intent for web, look what happens. The document presets have changed and they have adapted to sizes ready for web. And also the presets that are linked to our Adobe stock also have adapted to create projects that are web-based. But most importantly, the preset details have also been tweaked. So the units will change into pixels and so much more. We will be able to right away jump into a digital production. First thing to do is to name your file. In this case, I'm going to call it Kladi Portfolio. I'm going to call it Live Portfolio just in case we have some more. And then I'm going to use the usual resolution, which is 1920 by 1080. This is the default high definition and is the most common for all sort of devices. If you're thinking why I'm not using mobile, I tend to use web because the majority of the digital content is viewable throughout different assets. So we can use it like on a screen, and you can use it on a mobile. I think the web is the one that really embraces a little bit more of the digital production. Then here you can start to decide how many pages you want. I'm just going to place 8 to start, but don't worry. Feel free to play around with these settings and also remember that they are editable at any point. You can also have pages of different sizes within the same document, which is pretty amazing.
Nice. Just a quick one question, actually.
Sure.
We've got a question from Elizabeth, who said, which I feel like you touched on before, whether, you know, the style you're working with. But Elizabeth asked, with this style, is it mobile friendly? So I guess maybe obviously we're doing more, you know, desktop by screen.
Yes.
But yeah.
Is mobile friendly, and that's thanks to the fact that when we publish online, you see, we're literally taking advantage of the Adobe server. So if we jump back real quick into my example here, then maybe we can put in chat. So let's go ahead and see if I can actually share these in chat real quick, or I'm gonna figure it out in some way. What is the best way to do so? Maybe I can put it in the chat so everybody can access that. So you will be able to literally resize. So that's a website that can be resized, and also on your digital screen. Of course, it will be better to tilt your phone to see the full images, but also you will have thumbnail of the different pages as well that you can scroll underneath. So it's mobile friendly because, as you can see, sitting on an Adobe server. So it's InDesign.adobe.com, and because is on this server, it's already designed to be resizable and friendly and flexible. Let me see if I can real quick move it here into our chat and see if we can, maybe nice. Should I be able to pass it to you, Karen? I don't know, is the
sure, send it to me and I
chat?
can send it. We have got Sam who's keeping track. So you put it in the, if you put it in the chat. Although I've got like a split screen mode here, so I'm using you on my desktop and then my MacBook.
I'm just gonna try to make sure that I think Slack went away. I'm just gonna try to make sure that I make that available for everybody. Hopefully, is there.
I can
I'm
see
also
a few
on a double
chat. You got double screen. You got to see a few folks. I can see it's quite nice because everyone's kind of throwing out there what levels in terms of InDesign they're at. So we've got Shaq. What? I hope I'm saying that correctly. Who said he's an intermediate level. We've got Sam who's never actually used it before. So I mean that's the beauty, right, of why we do these streams, whether it's beginner or completely senior and know everything there is about it. You can learn anything, right, from any level. So so welcome. And honestly, no question is a silly one. So please do get in, especially if you're quite new to this program.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I managed to share with Sam, our lovely Sam Peterson, that is always super amazing and helping us here during the stream. So you'll be able to actually access it and maybe message it to yourself through your phone. So you'll be able to see the same file that I'm seeing here, and you see there is a responsive design thanks to the fact that it's sitting on this Adobe server. I don't have to do anything. It will be automatically accessible through mobile as well. It's just a link, like any link that you will have anywhere. So as you can see here, we're back at the new document setup. We named our file. Very last thing, if you're looking to produce more digital documents and maybe you want to save those preset details, you can do so by clicking on this button, which will allow to save the document as a preset. That means that instead of choosing any of the intent, you can simply click into save, and then that will be accessible for you at any time. But now let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to bump up our margin. I think I'll give it usually like a minimum of 50, but we can also up that a little bit more. If you do not know what margins are, I'm going to go ahead and click on preview so you can actually see the margin appearing live. It might just take a second because now it's loading all this information. In fact, we might want to make it 100. So this magenta line that you see here, the black line, first of all, is the trim line. So that's the end of the page, what is going to be visualized online. Then we have this white border, which are the margin, and they work like a safe space. So everything that is within the margin will be accessible through the reader. Imagine if you have different phones or different screens, you might have text that will bleed out and will not be legible unless this is your intent and you're looking to create a creative artistic effect that bleeds out, which is absolutely fine. You do not want to do that with your email. So we do want to set this margin in place to make sure that we do have some sort of safe container for all the valuable informations. Real quick, you see bleed and slug over here. Those are not particularly relevant when working on digital products. They are absolutely relevant when working on print. What they are the safe space that sits outside this trim line, so outside the black line, and they will allow your printer to have a margin of error. In particular, 3 millimeter is the industry standard, is a 0.125 inches. They will allow your printer to have a little bit of extra space. So let's say that you're printing this specific pattern for your design. What you will do when you set up the document, you're stretching it a little bit longer, a little bit outside. So whenever it gets trimmed, there is no ugly white line showing through, and you make sure that everything is nice and safe. Because imagine if you do not have the trim line, you might end up with some sort of white border showing up, usually in a wonky way. And this is not because the printer is unprofessional, but just because this is generally happens. The big machines, they're called guillotine. They move with air suction. So I worked at a printer, by the way. That's what I'm so
No, I love that. You're throwing facts at us, but I was digesting it all as it comes. I love it. Do you know what? Just on that, I feel like do you ever find that it's a bit of a trial and error sometimes as well? Because if you're very new to using InDesign or even new to print or publications, which I kind of work in that space, but it's you want to obviously get it right, but sometimes you have to kind of go on that route of getting it wrong in order to know what you've done to then not do it again, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a
absolutely. And is if you are like a design freak and lover as I am, I ended up working at the printer because I was bugging the poor guys over. Like I was literally like ringing them.
But they loved you, Kladi.
Oh,
I mean, again on the phone.
They hated me, love me. So I just used to go there, and I just ended up like I used to sneak in the place where the machines are. You were supposed to have like safe shoes because they're massive machineries. But I was so intrigued to understand how lithographic print and all different machine worked. So yes, awesome. Of course. And anybody can do that. Nobody knew me. I just moved to the UK. I was Italian, coming in a different country. I didn't speak. I had a very strong accent. I couldn't speak English properly, yet I picked up the phone and I was like, can I come and see how this machine works? And that really changed my life and speed up my production so much. And to this day, I do not know anything. So also don't be afraid of call the printer to ask for advice, because they are really your best friends when it comes to print production. Karen, I know that you do a lot of print design. So
I do. To be fair, every time you mention the word print or even InDesign, I feel like Fabiola knows exactly what we're talking about, who's just put in the chat saying InDesign is the best. I'm glad it's getting some love, because I am a sucker for InDesign. Like, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, that is, I use different programs, Photoshop, Illustrator, but InDesign, editorial print is my baby. So yeah, I relate to this. This is my happy space, basically.
Do you ever go like, have you ever like bug a printer or ask for help? Or
bug a printer? Interesting. I've been to like a few. I've done a Kladi. I've tried to be. I don't want to bug them too much to a point where they get annoyed. There's like a fine line. But to be fair, I feel like I've got a range of printers. I don't sound like a bit of a diva there, but I've got like a nice selection of selection of printers, I should say, whereby, depending on what you're working on, the type of projects and the type of relationship I have as well with some of the printers, that's quite cool, because you kind of build that over time. I found from like graduation right up until freelance life. So yeah, to echo what you said, freelance printers are definitely your best friend, my friends in the chat.
And ask for samples. Ask for samples. Don't be afraid to ask for samples. The bigger the job, the most important is the job for you. Feel free to ask for samples. So by the way, this is the bleed line. It looks like a red line, and it sits, as I mentioned, outside. You can make it as big as you want. It's just that, all you need is 3 millimeters really, because that's the margin of error that these guillotine have when they move the paper. Slug
Nice.
is a further outside margin, and this is just for if you have special communication. So the slug area is usually used to have like special communication with your printer. So you want to indicate it because then you will have an option to export it as well. But that's when you're like printing, for example, if you do put any sort of special foil or any special finishing, you can just say to the printer, hey, everything that is in Pantone, whatever, or in black is going to be gold. So you just give him like an heads up on the note. Just literally a place where you can write some notes for your printer. But I'm going to go ahead and set this to 0. And also we do not need the bleed in this document. If you really want to work safely, sometimes some projects, end up that you're not snapping the images to the real if you're using something that is all over the bleed of the document, you might want to use bleed even for a digital document, just to really make sure that your background is outside, and when you export your document, you don't see any white line where the document has escaped. So if you do wish to use a bleed for a digital document, you're also very welcome to do so. But enough blob, it's time to hit on create and get started with our document. So here it is. Once you start with your document, now, a big mistake is that everybody thinks that once you create your document is automatically saved. It is not. So the second stage outside creating your document will be to press the Control S or Command S on your computer to start and saving your document. I'm going to go ahead and just pop this on my desktop and simply click save in order to save it. And here it is. So now we're set.
One day we'll live in a world where we'll have a save already automatically in the world. That would be a nice world to live in, right? But sorry, I won't distract you there. But yeah,
no, it's true. Like honestly, the amount of time. The amount of time that I forget to save, I'm always like really good at talking about it, but not necessarily do it all the time in real life.
Well, you've done it today, so I'm yeah. Gold points for that.
So if you open InDesign, it should look exactly like mine right now. In fact, what I've done was to reset my essential. This is the workspace. The workspace encompasses different areas. We have our top menus where we can find different options. Special kudos to the window menu that allows to access all the different panels. Those are our tool that allows to fine-tune our document and really get the most out of InDesign. And of course, on the left, we have the toolbars. That's where the most used tool will sit. And then on the right, that's where the panels will automatically dock, although you can always click and drag them and move it around as much as you want. Now, the beauty of this workspace is that not only you have access to a series of default workspace that are available for you in InDesign, and they will allow you to work faster by narrowing down and bringing up only the panels that are relevant for that specific project. So for example, book design, digital, essential, interactive, printing, typography, and so on. But you will also be able to create your own. And that really allows to work faster because, you don't want to waste time all the time to go to the window menu and bring up any panel. By the way, if I'm working and doing something and you do not see the panel that I have on my screen, this is the place to go. Window, and then just make sure to pick one of the panels in particular, anyone that you're seeing on the screen. They're organized in alphabetical order, so really easy to catch them in the window menu. Now, whenever I create a bespoke workspace, I always tend to start from a workspace that is already there. So in this case, interactive for PDF is the beginning of my digital production, just because I know that I'm going to start to add a lot of interactive elements. And I'm going to go ahead and reset it just in case I've used it before. Now, you see that there are many panels here that I'm not going to use. For example, these bookmarks I'm not going to use. And then looks like that page transition. We're not going to use page transition today. We're kind of going to use all the rest of the panels. So by the way, I just went quite fast. If you want to delete or close a panel, you can simply right click on it and click on close. Super easy. And then what I tend to do is to sort of order my panels together in a structure where I have, for example, content. So here I will have pages and then and layers, for example. So that's here, everything that is helps me to organize the content. And then I can have links and libraries. Those are external assets. Then I have all the settings and properties like color, stroke, gradient. Those will allow me to edit. And in this case here, I'm also, as I mentioned, going to add the properties panel. I'm going to stack it inside. So what I do, I just create groups of panels. And then, for example, paragraph styles, we're going to be talking about that. It comes with their friends style packs, which are brand new addition to InDesign and character styles. And then here at the bottom, you see that we can start to consolidate these new friends, which are the interactive panels like hyperlinks, button and form, media, and bookmarks. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a very useful panel whenever you're creating any digital document or interactive PDF. This is something that you really want to take a screenshot right now. So the EPUB interactivity preview is your friend when you are creating a digital publication, because it will allow you to preview all interaction and all media within InDesign. So before you go live, before you publish, you will be able to preview everything inside InDesign. And that's the reason why I'm going to make these nice and large, so we'll be able to see as much as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and stack it at the top or whatever inside my interactive feature. So again, page structure, assets, page content, content editing and styling, and interactive feature. And now, very last thing, I'm going to go ahead and select new workspace, and I'm going to name it Kladi Interactive, or whatever you want to name it. Make sure that you capture the location and the customization and click on OK. And you're done. Anytime that you want to start working in a digital format, all you have to do is to go back to your workspace and it will be ready to go. And most importantly, if things get messy or maybe you delete some of this panel, you can at any time go back to the workspace feature and then simply reset it and you're starting fresh. So I think that's a great way to start and make sure that you're always on point when you work with your design. So, there is any question, or we're going to keep moving into?
No, good for it. I mean, we've got a great comment here from Crisis, who said, "Thank you for a clear and understandable explanation." So you're on a roll, Kladi. Go for it. Yeah, I think we're in a good space. And actually, just to flag, I can see we've got some folks who have been popping in actually whilst you've been in your stream. So hi to Gareth, to George, and also to Steve. So yeah, welcome. Any comments, like we said at the very beginning, whilst Kladi's on the flow of it, please do ask her. So yeah, Kladi, go for it.
Fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and start introducing content. And again, before getting started, let's see, actually, I think I prepared, and it'd be nice to show it to you guys, some content here, which is related to the structure of the page. So sketches. Now, the reality of the sketches, I'm not going to lie, is this. And now there's water on top of it, so I don't know.
No one's judging. You've got Jackson Pollock.
You're actually going to see. So usually that is the reality of it, and the reason why I sort of formalized it into what you're going to see now, which I'm going to share with you, is because I think that sketches are quite personal unless you're working with a team. So it's nice to have. Let's see. This should help. Okay, so this is what I created in terms of sketches for the portfolio. They're very important to understand the structure of the document, and they will allow you to be ready to roll. So here I've designed my front cover. I usually use circles to define where the logo or the brand is going to be, or the homepage as well. Every square with a cross, this is the industry standards that refers to an image placeholder. So that's where a picture or a video, any visual format is going to go. And then those rectangles are text. Now, the bigger and the thicker is the rectangle, the hierarchy is set there. So bigger rectangle means that that's literally a heading or a subheading. And then, of course, the smaller lines that are just simple text. And we have our little carousel buttons here as well. So I already have an idea of how my portfolio is going to look like. And I can also, at any time, if I want to do so, just really simply bring each one of these pages. So let's see, for example, let me see if I can find the cover here in my documents. Or maybe let's just start with this simple one here. I can simply bring it inside InDesign and just have it as a reference. So nobody's going to judge if you keep it there. Maybe you can keep it on the first page as you go. You can keep it in this wonderful space there that you have, and that will allow you to just start and create a content that is suitable for your design. So just sort of a guide that is there for you and helps us out to see what is going on with our design and where to place our content. And now the reason why this is so important is because you want to make sure that the information are displayed in a clear manner. And that's why it's important to spend time researching, reading books, joining these sessions. So you have an inspiration and you have an idea of how to develop content. So it's easy to be understood. People don't want to think. People have enough stressed and complex lives. They want it easy.
So
They don't want
true.
to think where to click. They just want to see your work and they want to contact you if they think that your work suits their project. End of. So creating and experimenting with different layouts will help you to create a structure, and it will really jumpstart your work. Honestly, if whenever I sometimes just because of speed or because I've been working so much, I think I can, just avoid this step. I end up spending hours and hours and hours to find the
Yeah.
layout. That doesn't mean that you don't find a solution. If that's your workflow and if that's your vibe, if that's how you want to do it, just do it. But you will see how much a little bit of prep, half an hour of sketching will really help you to transform the work in InDesign. And that's one single reason. It's simply because your pencil on a paper allows you to create more rather than clicking buttons. So you want to spend and maximize the time that you have on the computer. And that's why, I say the truth, like sketches do look like this rather than this neat design that you see online. This is just to show you. Do not think whatsoever that those are the sort of sketches that I do every day, because that will be an absolute lie.
But just on that, it's interesting because sometimes we almost neglect that part of the process sometimes, right? In terms of reflecting back and drawing and actually scamping things out. But that could be quite important, right? For the maybe, excuse me, mental well-being, or just even the fact of just, detaching yourself away from a screen and just having to think clearly. And then you can take it onto screen, which is, I think, it's quite interesting. We've got some comments in the chat. Actually, we've got Jason who said, excuse me, he finds it's quite easy to use two screens, especially with the EPUB preview. That's always quite interesting, knowing how the kind of setup that we all work with. What's your setup, Kladi? What are you on a MacBook desktop? Are you Matrix style? How are you working?
I'm in a mad style. I have two screens. I'm about to get one big curved screen, so I'm sort of done with the two different screens. I'm just gonna go ahead and have one long one for my next setup. At the moment I have two landscape and one vertical, so three in total. I tend to use two at a time, and then I got my iPad and my laptop ready to go. But I'm in a very fortunate space where I got like 3 desks, so tiny desks, nothing huge, just a small room. But I sort of adapted so I can just kind of focus myself. And of course, I do streaming a lot. So, but two screens, I think that's the way to go. It allows you to have examples, even if you're drawing or if you're painting. I think it's nice to have a sort of screen when you are reflecting. And yeah, absolutely, thumbs up if you have your EPUB preview open on a different screen. The better you see your preview, absolutely nothing against it. I think is a great idea.
2 screens are good, 3 screens are just greedy. But who's going to judge? I'm not going to judge. It's all good. And just a final note, actually, I can just see folks are throwing in exactly where they're actually streaming from, which is awesome. I can see we've got Mohammed from Egypt, Finland, UK. Kladi, we've got everyone from around the world coming to see your portfolio today. So, thank
exciting.
you. Great.
Also,
there's a question here, but I'll fill it in later. Yeah.
I just wanted to see if there is anybody in Arizona or Utah. I'm actually heading there for Creative Pro Week. I'm going to give them a shout out real quick as well. Hopefully later we can jump on their website as well. And I'm going to go there to speak to a conference, Creative Pro Week. Amazing network of event that I'm really happy they're friends and colleagues. And it's an amazing event. But also I'm going to rent a van because it's my birthday. So why not? I decided to just go on an adventure.
I didn't know that. Did I know that? I'm not sure. I love that. You're going to get the universal messages now for everyone. Just happy birthday. I love that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not today, but it's
for next time.
when I'm there in Phoenix. So I decided to rent a van and just go and explore in the desert. So if there is anybody from Arizona or Utah, bring those comments in because I really want to know anything that I can possibly see to make the most of our time. But it's time to jump into the parent. So the parent pages, if you were been working with InDesign before, they might have been called masters, and they were called master, but now Adobe is moving towards a better language, and a better way of naming things inside InDesign, which is always welcome. And therefore here we have a parent page. As the words say, the parent page will work as a main parent for the different child here, which are the other pages. You will see that a parent is applied to all the pages below because we can see the little letter A on top of the thumbnails. And what a parent is, it works like a background that you can simply apply to any pages you want. You can make as many parent you want as well in order to apply them to your page. So what I'm going to start applying here is, for example, my navigation. So I'm going to go ahead and press the letter T on the keyboard or click on the little T here and go ahead and click and drag in order to create a text area. And what I'm going to do here, because I know already from my design that my text area and my navigation is made by 3 different names, which are projects, about, and features. What I'm going to do is to make this a little bit longer, and then I'm going to press the Control B or Command B on the Mac in order to bring up the text frame options. This will allow me to change the number of columns. In this case, I'm going to have 3 columns for my text. And then I'm going to go ahead and click. You can always tick on the preview to see them happening live. You can also change the gutter if you wish to do so, and then click on OK. Nice. And then you're ready to go here. So you can start to input your text, which in my case will be project. Oops, I can't spell, so you're going to see me doing that a lot. So project.
No judgment, I promise. No judgment.
Project. And then to swap from one column to another, you want to press the Enter, not the Return key. If you're working on a Mac, I believe you have a little icon there, and then press Enter at the same time. You'll see that the main design is like a little arrow pointing to the top, and that's what allows you to bring into the next column, your text into the next column. So About is the next one, and then Features. And this is just simply because I want people, maybe we can also, actually, it will be smarter to have project in the middle. So, that's usually where people's eyes will go. So we'll have projects in the middle. So we have About first, and then, About, and then Projects, and then Feature. Fantastic. Something else that we're going to be focused on is I'm going to jump real quick into some styling, just because this is not really legible. Now, the text is absolutely up to you. We're going to talk about paragraph styles in depth, but I'm just going to right away let you know that what I use is called Termina. It's just really easy to read for digital production. It's nice and bulky. A minimum point size for digital production and for legibility and for accessibility is 16. You can try and play with different sizes. In this case, I put 36 or 30 just because this is the navigation. At the moment, I'm just going to leave it like that so we can all see it, and we can simply sit that at the bottom. If you do wish to make sure that your little text area fits exactly per the size of your text, Control-Alt-C is the shortcut that you want to learn, so you will get rid of all these different text area or text box that sometimes start to overlap and then can get confusing. So Control-Alt-C, there will be Command-Option-C if you're working on a Mac to tighten those up and make sure that they wrap around your text. But before we move on, I forgot a massive, very important thing here, which is our grid. Our grid is a massive help to then make sure that all these blocks and everything that we have designed sits in the right place and is consistent. So we know exactly where everything is sitting. And we are in the right place because parent pages are absolutely the best place to place a grid. In this case, because I know that here, this is just the cover. So I would just add in the cover inside. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the parent page. And then I'm going to go ahead and use our layout top menu and select create guides in order to bring up the guides. Now, this is my rule of thumb. Whenever I create digital, I use a column. I use a double number of row than the column. I don't know if that makes sense in English.
That's right. Yeah.
But if my columns are 6, my rows will be 12. And if my columns are 9, in this case, my row will be 18. So any double number of whatever the column is will go into the rows. This is the way in which I feel like, yeah. Do you have any specific method for your
do you know what it is? Kind of I want to say there's a really complicated, detailed way of doing it, but it's a bit of I don't want to say trial and error, but I kind of just do what I think and then preview, and if it's not right, I'm gonna go back. Not to say I go back and forth continuously, but my brain has to work in visual, so I can see the numbers, but I almost need to see on eye how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can change it.
I was going to say very quickly, actually, weirdly enough, I'm glad you mentioned grids when you did, because I was vigorously scrolling up to the chat because someone mentioned grids on there and I couldn't remember who it was. And please say in the chat who you were, because I was going to flag it, but I never did until now. So we've already had a chat super sharp in terms of the grids. So I'll let you run with it, Kladi, but someone did mention it, and please say who you were, because thank you for flagging it.
Because I nearly forgot it. So thank you for keeping it there. Also, Karen, if you can keep me on time as well, because I'm always I always have time anxiety because I want to
Oh,
show
don't
so
worry.
much. We
I
have
want to do a
still about
nice
an
little
hour,
recap
right?
in about. Oh yeah, no, we're good for it. We're good for it. It's quite
Fantastic.
refreshing because we're both in the UK, so there's no time difference that we're both
Yeah.
working on. So I can tell you it's 7:09, and everyone's like, "What? No, it's not in my country." So yeah, there we go. Off piece. Sorry.
Fantastic. It's fine. So here also, besides the number of row and columns, we have what is called a gutter. I'm just take the preview so you can see that changing live. So the gutter is the space between each column and between each row. That will allow the content not to go ahead and touch. So you can comfortably use the grid and let the elements sit on the grid because you already know that have that space, that's breathing space between every element of the grid. How much space you want, that is absolutely up to you. My strong advice is not to make it wider than the margin because you always want to make sure that the frame that is outside is larger than the content, than the spacing that is between the content inside. This is simply because of the way that we perceive through our eyes. Whenever we have elements that are stuck together, we perceive them as part of the same content. So that's why you ideally, again, unless you have an artistic choice and need to do so and to really space out everything because you want your element to look broken, because that's what you want to do and that's what you want to convey. You want to convey some sort of separation between the element. I would strongly recommend to keep that way smaller than the space outside. So everything feels like it fits naturally within the same page and is part of the same page. Also, you can keep it consistent between rows and columns. That's absolutely up to you. I like to do so just again because symmetry is the eyes and allows perception to flow faster. Once you're ready, click on OK. You can at any time go back if you wish to do so and click on layout and do that again. Just don't forget to remove existing guides instead of creating new, because otherwise what they'll do, they start to overlap and then that looks like a madness. So you don't really want to do that. So go ahead and cancel this. And now we have our margin, our guides that are applied to the parent. And now we see that the parent is applied to our pages here. So now once we go back in the pages, magically all pages that have these parent applied to, they will display whatever is on the parent. So in this case, they will display the grids. Now, if you do not want this grid, or maybe you want to create a special grid, let's say that you have a lot of content and then with images, and then you have pages, maybe you're designing a book, maybe you have images that have different kind of content and require therefore a different grid. So maybe it's a different section and you would like to do so. Really simple, just right click on your parents and create a new parent, and you will be able to then create another grid just like we've done in a second ago. And that will allow you really quickly to just simply apply it by clicking and dragging the parent on whatever the page. In this case, in the B parent, we do not have any grid. So if we now jump into our cover, we see that the cover doesn't have any grid, and nice and easy, all the other pages do have the grid just because they have different parents. So you have the flexibility, and please feel free to, have and use that flexibility to make sure that your design, and you can express yourself with your design, especially when you're working on your portfolio. So let's go ahead and move on. Unless there is any other question, I'm just going to jumpstart to put some content so we can dig in right away in some link.
We can dig. I mean, there is one question, and I'd be a terrible host if I never asked it, but it's kind of, it's not really design related, but maybe you can answer it. Is Kladi a Gemini? That was the question from Mohammed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
So all this grid knowledge, and we're just going into that realm. Sorry, but there we go. It's a question. You've answered it. I hope it answered your question, Mohammed.
Yes. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I still don't know. Apparently, we're very.
I don't know anything about that, but yeah.
It's a very crowded mind.
It's full of grids. It's full of, your mind's full of grids, Clay. That's what it is.
Yes, I wish I had more grids.
All right, cool. Let's jump into it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep moving forward. So as I said, we're gonna leverage the power of our amazing parent to start to bring in some more stuff. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and copy the navigation that I placed in my cover page because we're gonna have it inside the parents. In fact, the navigation, it's something that will repeat itself with our document. But in this case, we're just gonna go ahead and make it a little bit smaller. And there are different ways of doing so. We can just simply shrink our text box by using the shift that will allow us to move the text box proportionally, but also control that would allow us to change the side of the text at the same time. Because look what happens if I only press shift, we're just going to change the size of the text box itself, while holding shift plus control allow us to move both things, either the text and the content. That works exactly the same with images. So remember, shift only allows you to move proportionally, but only changes the size of the frame of the container, while using the control or command, if you're working on a Mac, also changes and resizes it proportionally, that content, either text or images. So we have done that. And something else that I'm going to do here, and this is because I'm already pretty sure that this is it. This is the way that I'm going to use my text, is to outline the text, because we know that we're going to create 3 different buttons, and you can create buttons with the text in text, but I prefer to keep it as buttons, just simply because that's the way that I'm used to work. But this is the beauty of Adobelive. This is the beauty of working with the Adobe Creative Cloud app. Everybody has a different workflow. There is no right and wrong. It's just what make you save time, so you can go out and have a drink and enjoy your family and friends, and that is it. So whatever works for you, I think that is the best practice. So I'm just going to go ahead also and use the Alt key and click and drag to create a copy, just in case. Better be safe than sorry. So I'll just go ahead and create one copy, just sits there, and then use the Shift Control Alt shortcut, and in just one click, I have now turned each one of my text into an object. So that's now a graphic object that can sit within my grid. Here they are. And let's throw in, before we move further, some of the interactive features, because otherwise we're just going to be everybody's going to be here and like, when we're going to do this digital stuff. So let's go ahead and do it right now.
It's coming.
It's coming. And of course, stay tuned until the end, because really there's so much to show, really, in terms of publishing, editing, sharing, and so on. So let's go ahead and take these into practice. So first of all, we need to understand which page will host the about, which page will host the project, and which page will host the features. But we've been super clever, because we've done our little design. So we kind of know already that our second page is the page where we have the rollover status. So that's where all our projects, the kind of like index for the project, will sit. So we know that that's page number 2. And then we know already that the about is over here. So in this case, if I have 3 projects, it's going to be page number 4. We can always change that. It's not a problem. We can always update any sort of button on things that we create, so we don't have to be too afraid. So at the moment, if I know that here, for example, I have 7 pages, it might be page number 7 if I have a back cover, or even page number 8 for my features. So I'm going to jump back into my parent, and here I'm going to go ahead and select, first of all, the project, because I know that that's page number 2. Now, there are different ways of doing this. You can either create an hyperlink, or you can create a button. That's absolutely not up to you. I'm going to go ahead and create an hyperlink to start. An hyperlink in this case will direct inside. So first thing, make sure to select the object, the text, whatever you want that it can be an hyperlink, and then click on the hyperlinks panel that we have introduced. If you just joined the stream, just make sure to go ahead and watch it again, or simply head to the window menu where you can find every panel that I'm showing you here. So hyperlinks is the panel where you want to head, and then click on the plus icon at the bottom in order to open the new hyperlink panel. Here, we want to link this specific object to a page. And then in this case, we say that that was page number 2. And if you do have created a particular style, as you can see, InDesign has already a style that is called hyperlink, which is a character style. As I promised, we're going to dive into paragraph style and character style in about like 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. If you have created your own, that is the place where you can also change the character style itself as well. Then you can go ahead and click on OK. And in just one click, here it is. Your project is now linked. And you can also test that. So let's go ahead and do something here. Let's go in page number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and just, place a rectangle, and maybe we're just going to give it like a black feel. And this is just to make sure that, look, this is page number 2. Every other page you can see quickly from the thumbnail, but simply clicking on it, they do not have this specific shape into it. So now, because the A parent is applied, we also see that all these pages have now this link applied to it. By the way, letter W allows you to move in between the preview, normal mode, and preview. So the normal mode is where you can see all the background grids and all sort of information, like the fact that this is a button, a link, because as you can see, the status is changed from having a normal outline to a dotted or marching ends outline that let us know that there is something applied to it. Of course, is not editable. That's another special properties of the parent pages. Not only they work like a background that will allow you to display elements that will be repeating inside the different pages, but they're also protected from any sort of modification. In fact, you can work and design on your pages and you do not have to worry. They're automatically locked because they're part of your parents.
Nice.
But if you go ahead and click on the EPUB interactivity, by the way, Karen, I know I go like a train. Feel free to
Oh no, I don't want to
anytime.
I'm digesting the flow of it, and I'm waiting for that moment because there's actually questions coming in, but I'm being very strategic with when I put them in. So you let me know when there's a good chance to throw in
I'm
a
just going to
question.
go ahead and show this real quick,
Of
and
course,
then
show it, and then I'll
we
ask a
can
question,
move
so
on. So as I
sure.
said, the EPUB, it's the place where we are going to go ahead and display any digital interaction before, just to test and make sure that it works, just to make sure that we're doing also the right workflow before we start to carry on and do it for the rest of the navigation. Make sure to change and click into the preview document mode. Otherwise, you're singly set on the specific page. And then you want to clear the preview. And I know that these buttons are not very, very clear because we have a play and a stop. I don't know why, but the clear preview would just erase everything that is loaded, and the play preview will load whatever preview is there. So here we have our cover, which we didn't apply any navigation yet, but then we have page 2, page 3, and so on. So now we'll see the about is not being linked. Once we hover on project, it automatically we have a little hand to let us know that there is something going to happen there. And if we click on it, boom, we are page number 2. And we can do that from any page, from page number 7. Click on project, boom, we're on page number 2. So this is the first trick to create a link within a page in order to create an internal navigation. And feel free to jump up with question in the meantime. While you ask me the question, I'm just going to repeat the same for the other element of the navigation.
Sure. There's something just on what you just did now as well. I think there's something quite rewarding though when you get a chance, when you link them up and you say it actually works. It's the little wins. We need to take this down in our lives, guys. It's the little wins, my friends, that make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So Mohammed, he said, how does digital portfolio differs from normal PDF export? Because I can't use InDesign animation features since the interactive PDF export doesn't work anymore.
Okay, so that is the massive change because we're going to be publishing online. So let's see, I'm going to show you real quick. I've just changed these 2 pages right now in order to create this further navigation. And now I'm going to show you what is the difference. The difference is that automatically from InDesign, we will be able to publish this specific document and make it work. So we have all these wonderful features like the hover button, like the link that we have created. And for example, accessing different projects and using the carousel, linking to website, linking to email online. So this will work directly online. And the big difference of working with this digital portfolio in InDesign is that will allow you to create a mini website. Your digital portfolio will be accessible anywhere by anybody on every different device, being a phone, being a computer, being a tablet, just by sharing a link. You can put it in an email, you can embed it anywhere you want. And also, you can update it anytime you want without even telling. You can update the same link. So it's so easy to manage. Remember, like when you have to oh, I'm so sorry, I need to send you another link. Nope, you don't have to tell them anything.
That's the old days. We don't do that now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, so in the meantime here, I've added the other pages here. So we have these 3 different projects. Now, usually the question that I get at this point is that what if you want to start to, add some sort of change of status, like an hover? To add changes of status, like, for example, when you're hover the project, changing the color, you want to work with buttons. And I'm going to show you that when we're going to get to the point of the carousel. Is it just a different way of creating link? So this is an hyperlink, and that doesn't allow a change of status when you're hovering or clicking. But we're going to explore the button and forms. It's a little bit more complex. I just need like 2 minutes of your attention and focus when we're working on that. And that will allow you to also create this amazing status change. So let's go ahead and check our pages. We now have our navigation with all the 3 buttons. We see that they look almost invisible. This is simply because they're being transformed into linked object. So they're now linking at different pages. We have our object that is at number 2 and so on. And now perhaps something else that I know there is a different workaround. This is just simply the way that I decided to work here. You can go ahead and just simply copy this. Oops. Look what I've done here. As I was editing our grid, we can also go ahead and make sure that we go to grid and guides and we lock our column and lock our guides so that doesn't happen again, because I started to move our guided around. And we can go back and use whatever we started with. So our 3 little elements of navigation, which are in our parent, and we can simply go ahead and use our Control-C to copy them and then Control-V to paste them. They still retain the link. So why we have to waste time doing it again? All I'm doing here is to resize them. They're just simple object. We can get rid of this text that I had here, and I have them already working with the link. Maybe you can also group them with a Control-G or Command-G and use the properties panel, setting the align option to align to margin to make sure that we align it to the center. So they're nice and aligned here within my cover page. Okay, so what to do next? Should we do the cover? Should we do the project page? I think the hover project is quite cool, isn't it? What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, hover sounds good. And actually, this is my job now to mention to you, as you kindly asked before, timings as well. So about nearly the hour mark into the stream. So again, my friends, if you have just joined in on YouTube behind, today we have the wonderful Kladi from Printmysoul, and she's taking us on this creative journey to build a stunning digital portfolio using my favorite, Kladi's favorite tool, InDesign, everyone's favorite tool, InDesign program. So here you can learn about creating layouts, build a consistent style, organize content, and so much more. So in the hour mark, any questions, my friends, please get that in the chat.
Perfect. Talking about organizing content, that is my next step. We're going to go ahead and use the CC libraries. Amazing, amazing tool. If you're not keen on using CC libraries, I hope that these will make you realize how important they are. Look at these libraries over here. I'm not joking.
Look at the wonders. Look at that beauty.
Those are libraries for all projects that are ongoing. They're shared with clients. They're shared with teams. You can organize all different content. So here it's the content that I have for different conferences, for my brand, for my logo, and every sort of project that I work with is there. All the assets are there, ready for you to access in any app, because the creative libraries are working throughout apps. You can access them on your phone. I literally use the Creative Cloud app on the phone so much and share document. I travel a lot, so that's really a time saver for me. And you can, of course, create a new library every time that you start a new project to keep the document together, and also to let Adobe carry all the weight of your files, so you can delete it from your machine because you know that they're safely stored in the Adobe server. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one Kladi Portfolio 23. I'm going to go ahead and click on create to create the new library. You can here also store style for your paragraph styles, which is super amazing because allow you just a click to then reapply them. And then I'm going to go ahead and select my little images here. That's where I have different images for my project. I'm just going to go ahead and select a few. And then all you have to do is to simply drag it inside the library. Let's go ahead and select a few of these over here. I know that there is some GIFs. I don't know if that's going to be there. My book images. So all I'm doing is literally chucking these images inside website that I've done for Adobe is sitting there. So all you have to do is literally to drag your images, and you can see everything will be stored nice and easy there. I think that's enough for now. Oops, it's much more work. Maybe love is love. I've done that on Adobe Live for Pride Week, so why not? Let's bring that in as well. Okay, so now we have all our images there. If you wish as well, so for example, this is one of my favorite images, is one of my books spread, my first book, Plant Therapy. Maybe there is a second book coming soon at some point. I know that I'm going to have some time.
Teasing us, Kladi. Okay. That sounds exciting. I love a print. Yeah, keep us posted.
Yes. Well, I know that I'm going to have some time on my hand in the near future. And I've decided to sort of decided how to invest this time. And probably a book number 2, I think, is a great idea.
Nice. Excited for that.
So I'm just going to go ahead and select the asset from the library. And then there is something else that you can really do to take the full power of the libraries to speed, which is to use the Adobe Capture integration within InDesign. And if you're wondering what this mouthful is, it's simply an amazing service that you can find by clicking on any image or just simply clicking at the bottom of your CC libraries. You will see it's called Extract from Image. If you're wondering why there is this CA, this is the Capture app, which is another environment here in Adobe you can find on your tablet. You can download it on your phone. It's called Capture because in a snap, you can take a photo and from there really extract so many assets like color theme, shapes or type, but also a pattern and so much more inside Photoshop or within your phone. You can also identify typography. So if you see something somewhere that you like, just snap it, put it into Capture, and it will give you the Adobe font matches. Super amazing. In this case, what I'm going to do is to either you can select an image from your, so let's go ahead and just bring this image in so we can show that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this image in, and with my image selected, I can go ahead and do the same, click on extract from image, and now it will reference the specific image. Otherwise, you can always access any image you want by clicking on the plus icon. And look at that, it will automatically pick up a color mood directly from your image in order to work consistently. You can choose also different variation. Now, my book was set on a very specific limited color palette, so there is not much variation over there, but you can go ahead also and save this color theme directly inside your portfolio. That will allow you to work consistently, so you can then apply this color to your swatches, and then you can keep using it throughout your design. So I think that that's like a really good way of working in order to work consistently and also storing your content over there. Okay, I'm going to delete these
just
images.
On that, it's amazing how like streamlined and like with the updates from Adobe, right, that comes in, because the old days of screenshotting, eye dropping, and then having to go back and forth, those days of, yeah, we don't even think about those days anymore. Why am I bringing it up? So it's quite cool to have these kind of stream ways of working. And again, if you're quite new in the chat, if you're very new to this space or Adobe Live, and by all means, please do keep on watching Adobe Live, and even after we're gone, because this is the place where you can be inspired and to learn a lot more about these tools, especially if you've just started out. So yeah, you're in the right place to learn. So there we go.
Yeah, and if you have any question, don't be shy. Don't be shy to ask any question.
We have another question actually. Mohammed's throwing questions at you left, right, and center. We're going to keep on hitting that bat. So yeah, keep them coming, my friends. So we've got a question from Mohammed who said, does InDesign animation features work on publish online mode?
Yes, it does. I want to know what it intends for animation in particular, if it's talking about page transition or interaction, or things like hover, perhaps. Yes, the online, you can play videos in InDesign, you can play music, you can add hyperlinks, you can add, let's see, we're probably going to try and add, maybe let's add this video of this stream, maybe I want to feature this specific video, this Adobe Live that I've done with you, Karen, on my portfolio. You can actually add it within, you can add the InDesign code. So maybe we can do that as well. In the meantime, over here, what I've done is just add an image to my cover. This is, again, absolutely up to you. If you're an illustrator, maybe you have a pattern, maybe you have your own name, your own drawing. I'm a little bit, my life is upside down. So I think that image is quite fitting for someone that wants to have I kind of change the way of everything that I do. People that work with me in the past, I'm a kind of person that you either love or hate, because I'm a little bit weird. I do things differently. I don't mind experimenting. And I always strive to do things differently. So I just wanted to have this picture. Besides, it's really cool. Taken at Adobe.
And we love weird, Kladi. I mean, weird is no one wants to be normal. It's just what is normal, right? There is no such concept. We need to be weird and wonderful. That's what makes us different and unique. So yeah,
absolutely, I absolutely agree.
I love that picture,
I think that this image really says a lot about me, not caring and flying upside down, because that's absolutely fine. Nice. Okay, so all I've done, another way here to bring that image, you can either click and drag from your Creative Cloud. If you, whatever reason, decide not to use Creative Cloud, you can simply also click and drag your images. That's a way to add your images, and they will be loaded, and you can click. By the way, there are so many different ways and so many things to show. You can either drag it, it will be loaded here. You can click once, and it will be displayed in its original size, or click and drag to define the size. Or you can go ahead and use Control-D or Command-D. That is the shortcut that will allow us to browse your folder, and then simply click on place, whatever item you select. So let's go ahead and select this image. For example, this is not my design. It's simply as an inspiration. Oh, maybe I got another Kladi upside down here. There's a lot of Kladi upside down.
I'm seeing a pattern here, Kladi. I'm just like, I'm not
Here
telling
it
you if
is.
that's your thing, that's all good. Living life in
I
the
think I
fast
was
lane. I love
in
it.
Chicago to the amazing Walala exhibition. Camille Walala is one of my
Sweet.
biggest friends. I think I got a book behind me, her book behind me right there as well.
Nice.
So yeah, lots of Kladi upside down picture that was not intended, but here it is. Okay, so with that now, that is a way of showing. So you can place it, you can drag it, you can put it in your CC libraries. Let's move on. We got our assets in place. As I said, I want to go ahead and show you that way of creating the rollover effect. I think is super cool. Another way of actually to place images is really important to mention. I'm going to press W so we can go ahead and see our grid. You can use the placeholder, which is, and now you understand why whenever you create a design, you have the square, the rectangular with the X, because this is how the icon looks like for your frame 2 inside InDesign. So you can go ahead and select it and then click and drag anywhere inside your page in order to create an image frame. So this frame again looks like a rectangle with an X in the middle, and that will allow you to place all your content. So that's how the content is going to look like. Also, if you create a few, like in our case, because we know that we're going to place a few images, and by the way, don't worry, I'm just putting all over the place. It's absolutely fine. Is because we want to make sure that we maintain the same size for all the different elements that we will showcase. And then all you have to do is to bring the images either from your machine or from the Creative Cloud libraries, and simply click once inside the frame in order to bring the image in. Now, if the image doesn't look like is fitting, you can always select the frame and use the shortcut Control-C-Shift-E to make sure that you fit it inside your margin, and then you can also resize it. Now, hopefully, if we have time, I want to show you how you can change this in Photoshop, because we know that we have this little area. Let's just do that. My time is really going too fast, but let's go ahead. So look what happened here. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. So we have set a size for these images, and it looks like this picture in particular for my portfolio doesn't really satisfy the size of the other images, because it looks like the image is just not have the same ratio and the same space of our images. So what are we going to do here is really simple. I'm just going to go ahead and right click on this image and then select edit. Any image file that sits inside your library will be edited right away directly inside Photoshop. And while Photoshop is opening, I mean, why don't we open the beta? Now, the library will open Adobe Photoshop, but since we're here, I think we might as well give a shout out to Generative Fields, because that is the thing of the future and the moment. I'm not going to update it right now. I'm just simply going to go ahead and open it. I think I have an updated enough option over here. So let's go ahead into my beta app, and I'm going to go ahead and open the Photoshop beta image, the Photoshop beta app. By the way, this is available for everybody. If you head into Creative Cloud desktop app, if you heard about this amazing generative field, these things of the future, and you want to learn how to use Adobe Firefly integration inside Photoshop, you will be able to do so by opening the Photoshop beta. If you don't know how to do that, open your Creative Cloud on desktop, head to the beta apps and show Photoshop beta. And from here, you will be able to open that up and show that in action. So let's see if it's opening up for us. And we will be able, I think Photoshop is conflicting. So I'm just going to go ahead and close Photoshop. But that's how to show you how, but from the library, Photoshop is there ready to be open. So I'm going to go ahead and close it, because I want to give you that little preview, but that launched itself. And that's why I couldn't open the beta, because I already had the main Photoshop open. So make sure that you have one of the two different apps opened, so you can go ahead and enjoy Photoshop at its best. So what I'm going to do here is to create real quick a new document. And I want to show you the power of the generative fields and how you can jump. Of course, in the future, that will be available directly into Photoshop. Again, set your file for web. Everything that we blabbed about in InDesign, that exactly works for Photoshop as well. I'm going to set the document to 1920 by 1080, so I know that I have a decent ratio, 150 to satisfy Retina display. Click on Create. I'm going to go ahead and close the timeline, because we're not making a video at this stage. And then I'm going to go ahead and from my libraries, again, the beauty of working with all the elements together, let's go ahead and find under the window menu, again in Photoshop, you can as well have the same, find in your libraries directly inside the window menu alongside any other panel. All I have to do is to open that image here. And again, this long workflow simply because I want to show you this super beta thing here. So I'm going to go ahead and place the image. And now with the marquee tool, which is our selection tool, we can go ahead and click and drag on the area of the image which are problematic because we don't have any background there. And we can click on the brand new generative fill. In this case, I'm going to leave it empty. And then I'm going to click and wait. We can just wait a few seconds. In this case, it should be quite straightforward because all are we asking to these amazing AI is to look at the image, look what is missing, and fill the blank by itself. So I don't even have to let them know. Photoshop is already there on the job, nearly done. And boom, is absolutely amazing. Has extended the image. We're ready to go. Just like magic, is absolutely magic. And now all I'm left to do is to make sure that here from my layers, as you can see, also this is not going to go ahead and edit my image. So if you mess it up, if it just creates any issues by mistake, you do not need to do anything because this is actually non-destructive. So you can just simply hide or delete the layer at any time. But in this case, I want to merge it to create a new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it back inside my library. So now here I have this new generative layer image. And now because the library are so wonderful, I can go back into my InDesign. And let's see where all apps are. By the way, I don't have InDesign in the dock because I just updated it. That's why all these dance. And I can simply go ahead and select this image. We can go ahead and delete it if we want to. And we know that we have now the new image. Look, it has a different aspect ratio. So now that I bring it within my frame and I extend it to fit my frame, the job is absolutely done. It fits it without a problem. We have our background. I don't have to go back and redesign it. Have you ever found yourself in that place where you have to do mockups over and over again? Just because maybe it doesn't fit the size? That's the world
that we live in sometimes. Yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing.
It's not going to be a problem anymore because of these amazing features. Okay, so now we have these three images. I hope that this one has actually a white background, not a transparent background. Let's see. Yes, fantastic. It can, yes, it does have a background. So we can cover the images because those images are going to overlap. But at the moment, you can leave them messy just because we're going to use them as just to connect it to the bottom and to the text. So our next step will be to add the text just real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and press the letter T on my keyboard. And here, I'm going to go ahead and start with our first project, which is Adobe website. And again, as I said, the usually the font that I go through just for legibility, and that's something that I would strongly suggest for your portfolio, is to find a font that is nice and easy to read. That's my goal is for Termina. I think that is nice and legible online, especially for adding. Is nice and visible to see. Maybe 20 is too small. We can try to do 30, and here it is. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm just going to create a new one, and it's called Love is Love.
Just on that, actually, just you mentioned that keyword accessibility, which I feel like that is something that we almost forget sometimes, back of our minds, how important that is, especially in portfolio world where you don't know who on the other end who's actually receiving the portfolio, who's looking at it, right? So for anyone who's kind of starting out, or especially creating portfolios, always try and keep in mind that accessibility for all, whether it's issues with seeing color or certain types, or but there's actually a lot of tools out there as well, right, to actually help.
Oh yeah, there is Adobe Color is one of the places where you perhaps want to go. If you go to color.adobe.com, you will be able to actually test color contrast, and that it's a massive help. There is a full say colorblind save themes, and there is a full tab on accessibility tools. So make sure that is the place to go. Contrast ratio, and it tells you what is good, if it's good enough or not.
Nice.
And it gives you different examples. So color.adobe.com, and then the accessibility tools is where you want to go if you are feeling strongly about these particular features. I don't know why my InDesign, oh, here it is. I wasn't recognizing the little icon. Okay, so now we have the text and we have the images. Sorry, I'm going to have to move on, but I really want to make sure that I that I show these interactivity features because they are quite exciting. And then we can jump back and forward with the text as well and the paragraph styles. But as before, I've showed you for the navigation how to use the hyperlink to create connection between pages. In this case, I want to create a rollover status. So whenever I hover on this image, I will be able to show, sorry, on the text, I will be able to show the respective image. And as I said, it's time to focus right now. So if you're cooking and watching this, if you're having a coffee and watching this, or working and watching this, it's time to pause and just watch this. So you'll be able then to do it. Because once you get the
Kladi,
mechanism,
eyes
on the screen, eyes on the mouse.
Yes.
Okay, so the first step is to transform all the object, text and images, graphics, whatever are in this interaction into buttons. So first thing I'm going to go ahead with the text. I'm going to go ahead and select the first text, head to the button and forms, and I'm going to call this button, and I'm going to give it a name. Also very important. I'm going to call it Adobe text. And then I'm going to set the event on release or tap. And in this case, I'm just going to leave it like that because there is no action that we can associate to it. Again, first step is to simply transform these into buttons. So this is already a button that we're going to go ahead and do the same. Type button, super easy. I'm going to call it love text. And then I'm going to move on and do the same with plant therapy, transform it into a button. Plant therapy, I'm going to call it PT text. And then I'm going to do exactly the same. So here I'm going to have a new button. And they're all button. They're all the same because they're gonna, the way that the button works, you can connect a button to another button. So in this case, this is gonna be Adobe website image, and then I'm gonna do the same, create another button here, which is called Love is Love image. And now, by the way, you can call it whatever you want. It's just make sure that it makes sense and is easy to find. And this is gonna be my button called Plant Therapy image. Okay, now once we have 3 text button and 3 image button, all we have to do is to connect each text with the respective image. So the Adobe website now will be able to be connected with the Adobe website image. How do we do that? We add an action, and the action here, and that's why we have to first transform everything into a button, is to show or hide another button or forms. Now, ignore the forms, just look at the button side of it because that's what we're dealing with. So with this action, we're going to show or hide a button. So I'm going to go ahead and click on show and hide. And what happens here is that I have an option of visibility. Now, what I want by hovering, releasing, or tap, we can actually click that on rollover. So on rollover, sorry, I'm going to do the same because we want to have that cool rollover effect. Tap or button, in that case, we would have to click. So we want a rollover, add an action to it, show or hide button. And then here from the visibility, we know that we are always going to see the Adobe text and always see the love text and always see the PT text. So we have the little icon with the eye, that means that they're showing. The X means that they're not touched, which perhaps that's also what we can keep for the text. We can leave it unmarked or just showing. And then we can change the different visibility for the images. So you can scroll down here where we have image, and we know that that's the Adobe website we want a showing, and we definitely want the love is love and the plant therapy hiding. So the first icon means show, the second icon means hide, and the third icon means ignore. And that's why I set the text to ignore, because I just want to make sure that the text is always there. So in this case, whenever we hover on the Adobe website, we have the Adobe website image showing, while we have the love hiding and the plant therapy hiding. Now time to move our love is love. In this case, again, we're going to move it on rollover, which is what we want. Create the action, show hide buttons, and it's pretty much the same. Text stay the same. The Adobe website image will be hidden. The love image will be shown, and the plant therapy image will be hidden. Now, I'm dyslexic. For me, it just takes a little bit extra time, but it's really intuitive. X means it's not touched. High means you can see it. I with a cross, with a line on top of it, means that it's hidden. So you want to make sure that whatever project is linked, it's then also associated with a visibility to that specific image. So that text and that image only will be visible. Again, on rollover over here, and show and hide buttons and form. We leave the text as it is, plant therapy. So that means that we hide the Adobe website, we hide the love is love, and we make visible the Adobe image as well. Now, in terms of appearance, here where we spoke before, I don't know if we have time to go through this, but I will definitely recommend you to explore. We have different effects here for rollover, so you will be able to apply different effects simply by changing this text, and then you will be able to set it in different status. Super exciting. I will also send you to a course. I have a full course on this interaction.
Oh.
So if you want to dig on more stuff like appearance, I will show that when we say goodbye. Now, the first thing that I want to do to make sure that everything is working is our fantastic EPUB. So let's make this nice and big. And actually, before doing that, I'm going to collapse it for a second. I want to go ahead and align these images. So now that we have used them and we needed to click on them, we can simply align it vertically and horizontally and place it on the side. So they're now pretty much hiding themselves. So the idea is that whenever we roll on the other, we have the one that we want to show coming to life. So EPUB interactivity is the place. Play preview allows you to load on. We're going to go ahead and hit on the project, so we're in the right place. And look what happens. It is actually working. So I love that this is actually working as we go. Do we really have 10 minutes left?
It's crazy. I mean, to be fair, you've done it so quickly and in such a precise, lovely way. You got about 5 minutes left. And then plus you need an extra minute so that our folks can know how to find out about you as well. Can we make it happen, Kladi? I think we have to.
Yeah, so what I want to do, so these are the buttons, and these are add the text and the images. What I really want to show you 2 minutes here, just to how to share. So in order to publish this online, click on the share buttons, and then from here you will be able to select publish online. Publish online will allow you to create a document that is available online. You can publish the new document or update the existing link. So this is the place where you want to update the link. As I mentioned over and over before, you can update whatever link you created. You can write a description. Go ahead and read all these amazing. You can allow the document to be downloaded as a PDF or to be printed. Read those different different settings that are there. Now it's taking a second to upload it online, and eventually it will translate into a link. We're just going to leave it there. It takes a little bit longer. By the way, when this one is working, you can still work on different documents and so on. And actually, while this one works, I want to show you where you can find the course. If you actually go on my website, as I said, I offered you the chance with the link to the stream. If you create a portfolio and you have any question or you want a review, you can just simply contact me. I'm Kladi.com, and then here request a portfolio review. But if you want to dig in and have a full course on how to create a professional portfolio, you have here the access. Whenever you click on this link, by the way, is a 24-hour free access to this course. You have all the lessons. This is on LinkedIn Learning. Is only 24 hours for free unless you have a LinkedIn Learning subscription. So be careful whenever you click on it, because then you have that hour to make it happen. The course is actually under 1 hour, so you should be able to have here. You see all the different paragraphs ready to go. In the meantime, boom, Illustrator has done it. The document is ready to be viewed online. You can copy the link, you can embed it, you can go ahead and check and publish it on the social media. If you do the document, here it is. We have our cover. Hopefully it's going to load real quick. And our navigation is going to take us into different pages. And we have our document here that also featured this rollover. I'm used to the longer stream. I don't know, like how many minutes we got left.
It goes quick, no? You are absolutely smashing it. We've got about 4 minutes. I feel like such a gatekeeper, don't I? Who am I to determine time? We've got about 4 minutes.
There's so much more to show. It's unbelievable. But I think that those features, I mean, we really did dive deep into where, you know, the basic of the settings. You can always access your documents online, but head into the file. This is quite new. I think it was released just at the last Max 2022. There is the dashboard. So the Publish Online dashboard takes you online, and you see all the documents that have been shared online. You can also see the analytics. So that tells you how many people look at your document. And you can see how many people look at a document on the desktop, on a tablet, or on mobile, how long is the average reading time, and so on. And you can do that per document or overall. And this is the last 30 days. You can do since publication and so on. And you can also access the link. So if you're ever looking for any specific document that you published with InDesign, that is the place. From InDesign, file, and then access the dashboard is the place to go. Now, if you actually ever look at my portfolio, the final one, the carousel is done exactly in the same fashion as we did before with the button. So I created a circle, transformed into a button, and then the image into a button. And then I went back and forth linking the first dot with the first image, the second dot with the second image. And that's why when we go ahead and we go live, that interaction works as a carousel. So if I click on a different button, I will have the different image showing up. And the rest is pretty much an iteration over and over the same. For the Instagram link and in the email, those are links. I would strongly recommend it to add it in your parents' pages. And again, as per every link from the link button, I'm just going to show you this super quick. From the hyperlinks, all you will have to do in this case is to change the link to either to URL or email. And then is a simple iteration of what we've done. Inserting text, inserting image, and inserting link or button to create the digital iteration. Then, of course, share it and publish it online. And if you have any questions, or if you want to get in touch with me, or if you want to learn more amazing content regarding Adobe and Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop and so on, feel free to get in touch with me on my, let's see, what is the best way here? Feel free to get in touch with me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. My Instagram is I am Kladi. That is the place where I publish weekly content, mainly related to Illustrator, Photoshop. There are 1-minute courses and tips where you can find so much. And if you want to learn more about also the Gen Fill, Firefly, that is also a place where you can find all the news regarding these amazing Adobe tools. And of course, you can drop me a DM with any question you may have, and I tend to reply within a day or so. Is it time to say goodbye? I don't know.
We've got 2 minutes, but to be fair, just on that, and I mean, for anyone who's just coming in for the first time, well, not just now, but throughout this whole stream, and actually not even followed Kladi before, I feel like, you know, because like I said, 2 years ago, right? Nearly 2 years ago around now is when we first had our first live stream. And I remember finding you on social media and then just being overwhelmed with amazingness in terms of inspiration and design. So like anyone who's just starting out, like please do go and follow Kladi, because you've already seen what she can do within the space of an hour and a half. Imagine actually going on the courses and seeing even longer courses.
Darren,
so,
I got you on my website. I was just giving a shout out on the creative. Like we have our lovely Tony Harmer.
We all love Tony.
And the amazing attendant here. So that's where I will be. If you want to meet me live, I'll be in Phoenix. We have Nigel, so many other amazing instructors here. In fact, Karen as well. We have Rob. So many amazing, exciting. So I will be there in a week. You can also join online. Creative Pro Week is the place in Phoenix and online. And of course, LinkedIn and my website. There's so much content, so many amazing courses, Adobe Live with a how-to and design fix with the lovely Alex, and really so much more. And also I have a starter course, very last thing, I have a starter course for InDesign coming out on the 13th of June, which is the day before my birthday. The brand new InDesign 2023 course comes out. So if you're looking to start and learn InDesign, and maybe you want to achieve this portfolio design, but you really want to focus on the basics, that will be the perfect course for you. So thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So my friends, this is that time of the stream where we're going to say goodbye, but thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in for the next episode shortly with branding basics with graphic designer Anika Agarwal, and set yourself up for success by creating a brand guide for your small business or personal brand. Learn the power of Creative Cloud libraries to access assets and illustrate and design. So massive thank you, my friends, and we'll see you very soon. Ciao, ciao.